After 4 long years since bidding farewell to her daughter and son-in-law, Abigail still carried the heavy burden of loss. Their sudden and tragic death had left her heart in pieces, yet she soldiered on, raising their children, Amy and Charlie, her beloved grandchildren. Despite the emotional scars, a seemingly ordinary day would soon unravel into a mysterious and extraordinary event, forever changing Abigail's life. It was a calm afternoon, and Abigail was taking a walk with Amy and Charlie, trying to keep their spirits high during their school vacation. Her dear friend, Martha, had invited them for a retreat at a cozy cabin nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, hoping the change of scenery might offer a reprieve from the haunting memories of the past. The cabin was idyllic, surrounded by towering pines and a breathtaking view of a crystal-clear lake. The children immediately ran off to explore the grounds, giggling as they played hide-and-seek while Abigail watched with a tender smile. She reminded them not to wander too far into the forest, even the cautious grandmother. As the sun dipped behind the mountains and dusk painted the sky in soft shades of orange and pink, Abigail and Martha busied themselves preparing dinner inside the cabin. The peace of the evening, however, was soon shattered when Amy rushed in, her small chest heaving with panic. "Grandma, I can't find Charlie. We were playing in the woods, and he didn't answer when I called him." Abigail's heart sank, fear gripping her. The forest, with its dense undergrowth and maze-like paths, was no place for a young child to be lost. Martha quickly took charge, calling their neighbors from nearby cabins to help in the search. Lanterns in hand, they scoured the area, but with nightfall creeping in, the task grew more daunting. The longer Charlie was missing, the deeper Abigail's fear grew. Amy, exhausted from the search, was taken back to the cabin by Abigail. They lay together in bed, but sleep did not come easily. Abigail's mind swirled with thoughts of her lost grandson and silent prayers for his safe return. Eventually, exhaustion overtook her, and she drifted into a restless slumber. In her dream, Abigail found herself standing by the window of the cabin, gazing into the dark forest. To her astonishment, there stood her daughter, Mary, and son-in-law, James, both of whom had died 4 years earlier. They smiled at her, their eyes filled with peace and warmth. Without speaking, they beckoned her to follow them into the woods. Abigail, her heart pounding, obeyed. The couple moved gracefully through the trees, their figures glowing faintly in the moonlight. No matter how quickly she walked, she could never quite reach them, but she felt a deep pull to continue. Finally, they stopped in front of a small, hidden cave at the base of the mountain. Mary turned to her, her voice a soft whisper in Abigail's mind. "Thank you, Mom, for taking care of my babies." With a start, Abigail awoke, her heart racing. She sat up in bed, her breathing ragged. The dream had been so vivid, so real. Without a moment's hesitation, she bolted out of bed and rushed to the searchers outside. "I know where Charlie is," she cried, her voice filled with a conviction that surprised even her. The search party looked at her in disbelief, but Abigail's insistence moved them into action. She described the small cave she had seen in her dream, and after a moment of hesitation, they followed her lead, trekking deep into the forest. It wasn't long before they found it, a tiny crevice in the mountain, just as Abigail had described. Inside, huddled in the dark, was Charlie, his face a mixture of fear and relief as the light of their lanterns fell upon him. Tears filled Abigail's eyes as she scooped him in her arms, overwhelmed with gratitude. Somehow, some way, her daughter and son-in-law had guided her to him, crossing the boundary between life and death to protect their child. That night, as she held her grandson close, Abigail found a peace she hadn't known in years. The grief over losing Mary and James had not disappeared, but it no longer felt like a weight that would crush her. Instead, it had transformed into something gentler, a reminder that love, even from beyond the grave, never fades. From that day forward, Abigail embraced the memories of her daughter and son-in-law with a sense of comfort. Though they were gone, their presence was still felt in the laughter of their children, the warmth of their smiles, and the love that bound them all together. She had received a gift, a connection to the past that would guide her through the future.